Hi folks, and welcome to another episode from our kitchen. Today we're going to make laksa soup. It's laksa noodle soup. It's a Malaysian or Singaporean noodle dish that's made of red curry paste and a few other ingredients. I'm going to show you what you need to make it. Gotta admit, you may not have some of these things in your pantry, but once you go out and buy it, you can actually keep a lot of these ingredients for a long time and make this stew, soup, noodle dish as often as you like. Let me show you what you're going to need. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is some chicken or shrimp or beef. I'm actually going to use all three: chicken breast as well as chicken thigh. Chicken thigh is nice and tender. It works really well in this dish. I also have a pound of large shrimp that I have deveined and took the tails off of. And I have some sirloin stew meat. Okay, so I've talked about the meat, and I have chosen the mix of chicken breast, chicken thigh, stew meat, and a pound of shrimp. Let me tell you what else you'll need. A couple of these things you might have to run out and buy, like I mentioned. You'll want some noodles. Actually, any kind of noodle will do. Angel hair is fine, thin spaghetti is fine, ramen is perfect. Some people like the rice vermicelli. They have these at Stop and Shop, Walmart, everywhere. This happens to be one that I bought online from Amazon. The most important ingredient though, if you don't have laksa paste, you will probably want to use what we call red curry paste. And you can pick this up also at Stop and Shop or in the Asian section of any supermarket. You will need some chicken broth or chicken stock if you prefer to make or have your own.
Could you make it from bouillon cubes?
You could.
Yeah.
A little bit of vinegar. I choose to use the dark vinegar, the Asian dark vinegar. You will need some fish sauce. You will need some sesame oil. You will need another major ingredient, some coconut milk. You will need some curry powder, chili flakes, and then there's the, if you have it at home and if you like it, add-ons. I like bean sprouts. I just buy them canned. You can certainly use fresh ones. Whole baby corn is good. Mushrooms are great. Anything. And that's the one thing I want to say. First time I made this, I think I made it just with the chicken and shrimp. But I've been experimenting with this now for a while. You can use any meat, any protein, any leftovers, any vegetables. It's really all about the curry paste and the coconut milk. And it's very easy to make. Okay, meet you back at the stove. All right, so now we're back at the stove here. And one thing I didn't mention is you will have to put some oil. I'm going to use a little butter just to give it that kind of buttery taste that the chicken and the beef taste really good, sort of like you get at an Indian restaurant. And then because I like sesame oil, but I don't love too much sesame oil, this needs a little of it, but I choose to use regular vegetable oil a little bit with this butter that's melting in the pan. Of course, now I can't open the top. At some point I'll add this vegetable oil. Here we go. I think well, that's not quite. All right, so a little bit of vegetable oil, and now I will add some of the sesame oil. Like I said, sesame oil is a little strong. This recipe, the first time I ever made it, it only used sesame oil. I thought it was a little overkill on the sesame side. So the mix of butter and a little bit of vegetable oil, you can see, I'm just going to let that melt away. And then the next thing you're going to do is get your red curry paste. Now, I'm not going to be precise with my measurements here, but I will put the recipe in the description down below so you can kind of get a sense for how much I've used of these things. So as soon as this butter melts, I will add the red curry paste. I buy these tiny little jars. They're about 4 ounces each, and I can tell you that I'm making what is considered a double batch, I think, because I have a lot of meat. I'm going to use a full jar, and I have half of a jar that I had in the fridge from the last time I made it, and it'll probably take about a jar, maybe a little more. All right, you can see butter, sesame oil, and a little bit of the vegetable oil combo. And now, this is my favorite part. I'm going to add the red curry paste, and it's going to start sizzling away. There goes the sizzle. It's going to turn that oil a beautiful red color. It already smells great. Like I said, laksa, the traditional laksa, has its own taste, but because this is an easy make-at-home version, you can get away with using, and it's much easier to find, the red curry paste, and trust me, it'll be fabulous. All right, I'm not going to put any more of that in until I stir it up. Dwayne, you want to hand me that red thing right there? Sesame oil. Okay, the sizzling away of the curry paste, and here you go. This is curry powder. Wow, as soon as you put the curry powder in, it smells fantastic. And it truly is the basis of this dish. It's the curry flavor and the red pepper paste. All right, I am going to need a little bit more of this. I can tell because I haven't even added, there we go. Sizzling away. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add this meat. The meat will take longer to cook than the chicken, and the shrimp goes in at the very last minute. I'm not sure I'm going to put all this meat in. Let me just see. Okay, you can stop now. Wow, so, you know, I ended up putting about 1.5 pounds of the stew meat. You can see that it's sizzling away with the curry powder, the oil, and of course the curry paste. And you'll want to give it a couple of mixes. It smells heavenly. And you really want to get this so that it cooks and stir it up. And after this cooks a little bit more, next up will be the chicken. Sizzling away, the meat is definitely on its way to getting cooked. But before it goes too much further, chicken breast and chicken thigh. You can use one, you can use a mix. Notice I left the fat. There's nothing more beautiful than a laksa soup when that little bit of oil and sheen goes up to the top of its creamy orangey color. And start moving around that chili paste with the beef and the chicken, and let the chicken and the beef continue to sizzle away. There we go. Okay.
Looks good.
Sizzling away. All right, so this is sizzling away, and of course the meat and the chicken aren't quite cooked all the way through, but that's okay, because now what you're going to do is you're going to add, and I'm going to add 2 of these cans of coconut milk, and this is when it's going to start really looking like a laksa. This is very, very thick coconut milk with the liquid. Just push it all in there. If you make a smaller batch, it's a 1 can kind of dish with less meat, maybe just 1 pound. You can add anything you want to this soup. Like I said, I've added sweet potatoes before and regular potatoes before, and watch what happens when this coconut milk starts infusing itself into the red curry paste with the meats. It starts to take on that different color that gives it that true laksa sheen. And see that red chili paste oil? That oil just comes up to the surface, and that's when you know you've got laksa, as opposed to any other type of curry dish. And this, some people make it really spicy in some parts of the world, and others not so spicy. Of course, you can make it to your taste. Doesn't that look awesome?
It looks good.
And it smells really good.
Yeah, now you can really smell it once you added that coconut.
Milk. The other thing, you've noticed I haven't added any salt yet. That's because there is salt in the curry paste, so you don't want to overdo it. And when you get to the point where you think you're just about finished with this, you do what I call a final tasting with just a few last minute ingredients that I showed you previously. Salt, sugar, and the fish sauce. And at that time, you would also put a little bit of pepper.
But is that the time where you would add the shrimp as well?
Oh no,
Like at
the shrimp is when I shut off everything and it's still boiling away and hot, and then I just put the shrimp in, put the lid on, and let it go. I don't boil the shrimp in any of this.
Yeah, oh, so I thought that was near the end, but there's still a ways to go at that point.
Well, this is going to cook for a while now. This is chicken broth. You can use chicken stock, chicken broth. I've got the big value size here.
Yeah, you've got quite a bit.
Smells really good. And you can see that it's turning into that soup base now. So when you get to this point, this is when you should feel free to add in everything else you have. If you have fish cakes from an Asian market or other veggies, canned veggies, fresh veggies, whatever you have, I'm putting in whole mushrooms, button mushrooms. I'm also going to put in the whole baby corn. Dwayne loves that.
I get all the baby
He
corn.
also likes bean sprouts. Bok choy is good. You can also add any kind of mushroom, whether they're shiitakes or anything else.
And I also like onion.
I've made it with onion before.
Oh, I do
And
have
green
some
pepper.
scallions.
Scallions are good.
I want to
Let's
bring a
get
couple
some.
up.
Sure. Okay. Let's go get the scallions.
Okay.
Well, okay. So we've added our spring onion, or otherwise known as scallion.
Fresh from the
Giving it a-
garden.
giving it a nice color. You can see this is simmering now. I am going to let it simmer a little bit, but while it simmers, you do want to start adding a little bit of pepper. This is chili flakes. You can certainly use crushed red pepper. The chili flake gives it a nice taste. And it's really the type of pepper used most often in Malaysia and in Singapore when making laksa. This, however, is probably not indigenous to me, but it is in India's kitchen. So a couple of dashes of this, always. You'll just have to taste it and add more pepper to your taste. And you're going to add a splash of vinegar. This is a superior mature Asian sweet vinegar, sort of like an apple cider vinegar. The equivalent of about a tablespoon is probably good. Give that a stir. And I'm going to let this simmer for a little bit now with the cover on. And when we come back, it'll be pretty much finished. I will add the shrimp, close it, turn it off, and then we're going to cook the noodles separately because you pour all of this over a bed of noodles in a bowl separately, and then you garnish it with a hard-boiled egg, some more scallion, green onion, and it'll be ready to go. So I'll see you when we're ready. Hey there. All right, so this has been simmering away for a while. Really hot. But right at around this point is when you want to do your final taste test. And I will tell you that the final taste test is really a combination of adding a little bit of fish sauce, this makes a huge difference in the flavor, now it'll need some salt, coarse ground sea salt. It really does need salt. I didn't think it would. And then a little bit of sugar. Yes, sugar. Maybe just a dash. Stir that up. I'll try another taste. This is when you play with it and get it to that flavor. Better. A little more sugar. And I think a little more salt. And just because I like the bold flavors, a splash. Like I said, this is a double batch, so you don't want it to be blah. Assuming that this is all set now, I do shut it off. Everything is shut down now. And very last thing, a pound of uncooked, peeled, deveined shrimp. It will cook in this pot and release its flavors. I will put the lid on it, but this is ready to go once the shrimp is cooked. Next will be the pasta. Okay, getting ready to make the noodles. You can see that the laksa is all done. Water is boiling. I'm going to put some ramen in the pot. They cook very fast. can see it's going to go fast. So we'll just give that a couple of minutes, and then when the noodles are done, we'll plate the laksa noodle soup. Go. You could see it really only takes about a minute or two after the water's boiling and the ramen is done. So you take this ramen out, strain it, and then it's ready to plate. Nice and hot. Tell me when. There goes the ramen.
Right.
And you can see my pitiful chopstick skills. Although
You do better than me.
I'm trying to be okay. This is nice. So you put the ramen in the bottom of the bowl. Dwayne's going to end up eating this bowl, so.
Plenty of ramen already.
Okay. And then what you do, you head over here to the laksa. Let me get a ladle. Let me get a good shot of this deliciousness. And what you do is you kind of drain. You can see the shrimp is cooked, the chicken is cooked, the beef is cooked. You want to get the good bits out like this and make sure that you plate it so that you have a little of everything that you put in here that's special. Maybe a little more chicken and a little more of this, and then you get that broth and then you pour the broth right over it. This freezes really, really well. It keeps for a while. Now, traditionally, you do kind of top it with a hard-boiled egg. Laksa noodle soup. Enjoy it.
I will.